Hey guys, with Season of the Chosen in the air, Bungie introduced not only new weapons and armors, but they also introduced some new mods, just for us to create more builds. Are you tired of running your old builds yet? Well, let me show you a very nice new build that will change your game. My name is Wes and thanks so much for tuning into the channel. I am grateful for your being here. First thing first, you can get the new mods from the war table. There's 2 for sale every week throughout this season. So if you missed the 2 from last week, you might have to wait to see if they rotate. Otherwise, after the season is over, the gunsmith sells them on occasion. You just have to keep an eye out for them. Anyway, for the build that I'm using today, I am focusing on only 3 of the 4 new mods available because I want to incorporate some of the old mods in my build. The new mods I'm using are Elemental Charge, Elemental Light, and Font of Wisdom. Elemental Charge allows you to be charged with light, and here's how it works. You become charged with light by picking up an Elemental Well. If the Elemental Well's element matches your subclass element, you gain 2 stacks of charge with light. But wait, here's where this is amazing. Picking up an Elemental Well grants energy to your ability with the lowest current energy. Picking up an Elemental Well whose element matches your subclass damage type grants energy to all your abilities. All your abilities. Think about this. You not only become charged with light to use for some other benefits which I will show you later, but you also get energy for your grenade, super, and class ability like your dodge on the hunter, your barricade on the titan, or your well on the warlock. Isn't this amazing? Now let's look at the second mod, Elemental Light. Defeating a combatant with your super spawns an Elemental Well that matches your subclass energy type. Now the consensus around the Destiny community is that whenever Bungie says combatants, they are referring to combatants in PvE, not the Crucible. I did not test this in the Crucible. Perhaps someone can try and let me know in the comment section. Anyway, all of this obviously implies that I need to use my super to get those wells to drop. Classic. Now let's look at the third mod that I'm using for the build, Font of Wisdom. Picking up an Elemental Well that matches your subclass energy type grants you a temporary significant increase in your intellect, improving the recharge rate of your super. Now, I used these 3 mods to make myself a super build. And doing my testing, I have to tell you, I was having my super very frequently using this build. Now let's go over the important elements of the build and I will show you what I use, which is working really well for me. Alright guys, as I previously mentioned, if you want the mods, you can come to the war table and then they're selling them there. So this week they're selling Elemental Light and Font of Wisdom. But last week they sold the one for the grenades. Let me show you real quick. Last week we had those. And we also had the one for the ordnance. That's for the grenade build. Now, let's go over what I'm using for the build. On my class item, I'm using the Elemental Charge. Doesn't matter where you put them. So it's whatever works for you. And then I am also using the Glacial Inheritance that you get from the artifact, the seasonal artifact. So it will go away next season, but for now, we can use it. And that's mainly for the stasis. Go back to the last item. These are just the 2 items that I'm using. And this one for the Glacial Inheritance is a defeating targets with your stasis super refund super energy. Remember, I already mentioned when it comes to what Bungie is saying, targets means everything that includes PvP. In the Crucible, combatants normally means just enemies in PvE. Now for my leg armors, I am using Protective Light. I like to use Protective Light for survivability. Now it takes away 10 from your strength, but it's okay, it's worth it. And then some other mods you can use. And because I'm using a super build, I'm trying to get as much intellect as I can get from any piece. So the more intellect you have, the better it's gonna be. Alright, for my chest piece, I am using Taking Charge. And Taking Charge, you become charged with light when you're picking up orbs while you're playing. I like to use this because it works out, because there's always orb available. And again, I'm also using some intellect. The more, the better. And you can just fit whatever you want for your build. Now here I have grenade launcher reserves, but it's whatever you want to do. And for the arm, I am using the elemental light. And we already talked about elemental light. Say defeating a combatant with your super spawns on elemental wall that matches your subclass energy type. That's part of the build to get our super and everything else. And I'm using some of the seasonal mods just for champions and stuff like that. And again, the intellect mod. And then for my helmet, I am using the Font of Wisdom. Now, it doesn't matter where you use those mods. It's whatever works for you. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. And then for the Font of Wisdom, it's what makes you get your super a lot faster and stuff like that. Now, why am I using the Mask of Bacchus? That you don't have to use the Mask of Bacchus. I'm using this because this is part of my build. And whenever you use the Mask of Bacchus, if you have one and you want to incorporate it in your build, all it says is replace your stasis subclass dodge ability with the longer range, faster moving shifter. It is very good for the stasis subclass. That's why I'm using it. You can use whatever helmet you want, whatever works for your build. Now, as I already mentioned that I'm using the stasis subclass, this is not the only subclass you can use for the build. I'm using this because that's what I want to use. Because this build works with any subclass or whatever you want to use. Now, this is because I'm using stasis. This is the stuff that I'm using for stasis. I'm using the dust field grenade. You can use whatever. And then this comes basic with the hunter. So, and then for dodge, I'm using this, and I am using Gambler's Dodge. It's whatever you use when it comes to those. Now, for the fragment, this is where things can get interesting. Now, you can choose whatever you want, but there's a couple ones that are very good. It's based on your playstyle and that actually synergize with the build. The Whisper of Refraction, they say defeating slowed or frozen targets grants your class ability energy. That's part of the build. Now, I am also using the Whisper of Bonds to help with my super. Although it is not necessary, but it makes things go a lot faster and it is a lot better. Now, I lose 10 intellect and 10 discipline, but it doesn't matter because the build that I'm using, it grants me ability whenever I pick up those wells. So that's why this makes sense. And then, of course, I'm using this. This you can choose whatever you want. I'm using the Whisper of Torment, one of the new fragment. And this one say you gain grenade energy each time you take damage from combatants. So if you're fighting, you're going to take damage. So it works out. And as far as the aspect, you know, this one gives you 1 slot and this one gives you 2 slots. That's why I only have 3 slots available. So it's whatever you want when it comes to that. Whatever synergizes with your build, that's what you need to use. And looking at my stats, as you can see, I am at 82 intellect, 31 discipline, 69 recovery. And again, the more intellect you have, the better your build is going to be. If you can find better pieces, then it's going to work out okay. Now, as far as weapon, it's whatever you want to use, whatever works for you. I am using these weapons because I'm using the Mask of Bacchus and because I have extra damage for using arc damage. So I use arc weapon and I'm using the new Salvager Salvo, the new grenade launcher, and whatever you want to use in your kinetic slot is going to be fine. All of that said, the way I use the build, so whenever I don't have my super, I use stasis to freeze enemy and then kill the enemies because I have the fragment that says whenever I kill frozen enemy, I get super energy. So that's what I use it that way. And as far as whenever I have my super, I wait for a big group of enemy, I kill them. That way I can get the amount of wells necessary to recharge my super. Now, this build is very good for activities just like the new battlegrounds and also Nightfall, where there's a lot of enemies for you to deal with. You just got to make some tweaks to it based on what's going to work for you. Now, final note on the build. Now, one thing you will notice that if you die and you don't pick up those wells, then you lose them. So that means you make sure you pick them up before you die. And also, as far as how long they last on the ground, you know, just pick them as fast as you can. That's all I can say about that. Anyway, guys, this is it for the build. I hope you go ahead and try it. I know this is just basic, so you do whatever you got to do. Try different things and see what works the best for you. I'm telling you, this is very good. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later.
Remember to wash your hands.